Have you ever felt like you just couldn't catch a break? Or maybe you always felt like that you're the one that didn't have a lot to offer. Someone else was smarter than you, better education, uh, better background, better parenting, whatever the case is, that you just felt like life wasn't giving you a fair chance. Well, I think this story or this principle, this belief that God can turn the tables. That phrase was used in the early 1600s, turning the tables, where people where their opponent was winning, they would turn the table so that the person that was winning had to play from the side of the person that was losing from that perspective. Turning the tables. Or that I want you to think God can turn this situation around. The story is Jephthah in the Bible. It's Judges chapter 11. Jephthah, catch this, Jephthah was, his mother was a prostitute. He had half brothers they had a different mother, but his brothers never gave him a fair chance. They were always antagonizing him, ridiculing him, always pushed him aside. In fact, they didn't give him any of the inheritance because his mom was a prostitute. Jephthah, wanting to be a great leader, he was striving to be somebody. He wanted to make his mark in the world, and he became a great soldier. And while all of his brothers and leadership in that day pushed him aside because of they just didn't see him as someone valuable. They didn't think that he could become anything. I mean, they really treated this guy like garbage. But Jephthah, God blessed Jephthah, and God gave Jephthah so many different victories that when one of the enemies came against his brothers and the leadership at that time, they actually came to Jephthah because he was such a great warrior, a great soldier, and they were begging him. The tables had turned. God had positioned him to now the people who ridiculed him, criticized him, now are coming to him for help, for strength. And I thought about this story, how the situation that you may be in today, God can turn the table. The people who have judged you, criticized you, one day may need your help. Now, there's two things that have to happen in order for us to see God turn it around, turn the tables around in our life. First off, I believe Jephthah would have never been in a position of being a great leader if he would have held bitterness and resentment in his heart toward his half-brothers. Can you imagine? So first thing is, we cannot allow our heart to become bitter at unfair chances, unfair opportunities, people who didn't believe in us. I see these memes all the time. If you can't celebrate me in my low points in my life, then you're not going to be around in my times of victory. I don't agree with that. I think that's bad principle. I think it's a bad heart. I think we should keep our heart free from bitterness, free from being resentful, because you and I will not be able to walk in the blessings of God and the favor of God, and will not see the tables turn in our life and things turn around if we're harboring hard feelings, resentment towards people who have done us wrong. Secondly, we have to come to God in faith. And I believe, you say, Pastor Shannon, what if God doesn't turn it around? Well, I would rather live from the perspective of, can God turn it around? Yes, absolutely he can. Then that's where I'm going to live. If he can, then I'm going to believe that he is. You say, well, what if he doesn't? Can he, but will he? I'm not going to live in that camp. I'm going to live in the camp of God can, so I'm going to believe. This is where we live in such great hope. God can do it. Why not believe that he can for you? It's the same kind of faith that the Canaanite woman, when she came to Jesus and said, Jesus, will you free my daughter from this demonic possession? And Jesus said to her, is the bread to be given to dogs? Because that's what they believed. The culture in that time believed that Canaanites were like dogs. So they were just slow scum of the earth. And Jesus was not necessarily joining in the culture of being racist towards her. he was trying to pull faith out of her, because here's what she says: but even the dogs receive crumbs from the master's table. And he says, man, he says, woman, you have great faith. And he delivered her daughter. She was totally free. What was going on there? That even when you feel like, well, God, why not come to him in faith like the Canaanite woman and say, God, I know that you have some kind of blessing in my life, in the situation that I'm in, where I've always felt like I've not been getting a fair chance or getting good breaks in my life. God, I'm going to believe that you have something very special for me. And I'm going to tell somebody today that you may feel like you've not been given a fair chance. You may feel like you've been pushed on the outside. I'm telling you, if you will rid yourself from bitterness, get rid of bitterness, keep it free from your heart and life, watch God give you favor. Secondly, come to him in faith. And I promise you, he is still, he's the unchanging God that can change situations. Always, God can turn it around. All right, I pray this encourages you today.